Provoking thought in a world of uncertainty, from both an international law standpoint and moral and ethical consideration. The passage of time does not inherently diminish the rights of a people. The right to self-determination, for example, is a principle enshrined in the United Nations Charter. Many international legal scholars and human rights advocates argue that Palestinians retain their rights regardless of the duration of the Israeli state's establishment. This includes rights to land, return for refugees as per UN Resolution 194, and self-determination. It is important to recognize that Judaism and Zionism are different. Judaism is a monotheistic religion that is part of the Abrahamic tradition. In contrast, Zionism is a political movement which was started by Theodor Herzl, with the goal of creating a homeland for Jewish people. Interestingly, despite being born Jewish, Herzl did not practice the religion as he was an atheist. That is one reason why many religious Jews do not support the State of Israel or the Zionist movement. There are no teachings in the Torah, the Bible, or the Quran that justify forcibly displacing the people of a country and replacing them with others. Each of these texts promotes principles that would be fundamentally violated by such acts. Religious teachings across these faiths advocate for peaceful coexistence, empathy, and respect for the rights and dignities of all people. For the last 50 years, Israel has been forcing thousands of Palestinians off their land, occupying and illegally using it to create settlements that exclusively house Israeli settlers. Over the decades, the number and size of these settlements have grown significantly and continue to grow till today. Between 1947 and 1949, Zionist military forces expelled at least 715,000 Palestinians from their homes and lands and captured 78% of historic Palestine. They attacked major Palestinian cities and destroyed some 530 villages. About 15,000 Palestinians were killed in a series of mass atrocities, including dozens of massacres. Every year, Israel demolishes hundreds of Palestinian homes. According to data compiled by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, between 2009 and 2022, at least 8,413 Palestinian-owned structures were demolished by Israeli forces, displacing at least 12,491 people. There are some 6 million registered Palestinian refugees, living in at least 58 camps located throughout Palestine and neighboring countries. Israel also holds some 4,415 Palestinians, including 160 children, 32 women, and 530 administrative detainees in prisons. Over the last decade, the Palestinian civilian casualties have been a stark and tragic aspect of the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Data indicates that tens of thousands of Palestinian civilians have been killed since 2013. This figure includes a significant proportion of women and children, underscoring the profound impact of the conflict on the most vulnerable members of society. The high number of injuries, in addition to deaths, highlights the extensive humanitarian and societal toll the conflict has taken. Israel's military capability is indeed one of the most advanced in the Middle East, and this has been significantly bolstered by support from Western nations, most notably the United States. Human Rights Watch says the Israeli military recently used white phosphorus munitions in Gaza. The use of white phosphorus in Gaza, one of the most densely populated areas in the world, magnifies the risk to civilians and violates the international humanitarian law prohibition in putting civilians at unnecessary risk. In 2015, Salafi jihadi factions in Gaza gained international attention amid reports of clashes between them and Hamas, which had held power in Gaza since 2007. These factions paid allegiance to the Islamic State ISIS at the time. The clashes came to international attention in May 2015 when Hamas was targeted by Salafi jihadis, challenging its authority in the territory. Following a number of unclaimed attacks blamed on Salafi jihadis, Hamas launched a major security crackdown against such groups, arresting their prominent figures and destroying their strongholds. Claiming that Hamas is ISIS, as the Zionist and Western media want you to believe, is a baseless claim. Imagine you've lived in a house your entire life. It is your family's home, filled with memories and history. One day someone else claims the house as their own, citing their historical connection to it, and arguing they need a safe place to live due to past hardships. They move in, and over time they start to take control over most of the house. You found yourself confined to just a small room, with limited access to other parts of the house you grew up in. The situation puts you at a crossroads. You can either surrender or fight back to claim what is yours.